Yes, sir.
Okay, so dear devotees, welcome to the class to
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, so sorry for that interruption. Dear devotees, welcome to today's Smart Bhagavatam class.
I'm fine. I'm eating.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Temple. Are you popping in at the temple for meals?
I did get something to done, but I
3:16:20.
didn't eat it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So running over.
I have it.
Yeah,
I have it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'll put it in here.
Wow, you want me?
Ananjana
Sorry, ADVAITA-KRISHNA, there was so
Sri
many
Chaitanya.
So
Yeah.
I'll put the verse on the screen and then we
Okay.
can start. I have to mute everyone just to control the
Yep.
interruption. Thank you. You can start the Mangala channel.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamai Hangadati Sapatantikam Vandeham Siguro Shiyutapadakamalam Sri Gurung Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanditam Tam Sajivam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Sri Mati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Hare Krishna. I can't see everything properly. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Grantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So I will read the verse. Yam vai vibhuti rupayatyanu manyir artharti viswasirasad tapadarenu dhanyar pitangri tulasi navadham dhamno lokam madhu vratapate rivakamayana. Translation. I will read the synonyms. Yam, whom, vai, certainly, vibhutihi, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, upayati, waits upon, anuvelang, occasionally, anyayi, by others, artha, material facility, arthibihi, by those who desire, swasirasa, on their own heads, drita, accepting, pada, of the feet, renu, the dust, Thanyai, by the devotees, Arpita, offered, Angri, at your lotus feet, Tulasi, of Tulasi leaves, Nava, fresh, Dama, on the garland, Hamnaha, having a place, Lokam, the place, Madhuvratapate, of the king of bees, Eva, like, Kamayana, is anxious to secure. The goddess the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, the dust of whose feet is worn on the head by others, waits upon you as appointed, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees, who hovers on the fresh wreath of tulasi leaves offered at your feet by some blessed devotee. Purport. As previously described, tulasi has attained all superior qualities due to being placed at the lotus feet of the Lord. The comparison made here is very nice, as the king of bees hovers over the tulasi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. So Lakshmi, the goddess who is sought by the demigods, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and everyone else, always engages in rendering service to the lotus feet of the Lord. The conclusion is that no one can be the benefactor of the Lord. Everyone is actually the servant of the Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So we can start this very small purport. This is obviously in relationship to the description of the Vaikunthas, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijay, having been cursed by the sages. The situation is where Lord Vishnu has come and is being described by the Brahmana sages. A special position and description is given to Lord Vishnu and to Tulasi Devi and also to Lakshmi Devi. So the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, the dust of whose feet is worn on the head by others, waits upon you as appointed, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees, who hovers on the fresh wreath of tulasi leaves offered at your lotus feet by some blessed devotee. So worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord is the prescribed method for getting rid of all miseries in material life. When we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, we actually get rid of the pangs of material suffering, and we create all auspiciousness in our lives. Special position has been given to the lotus feet of the Lord in so many different places in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when a devotee engages in taking darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he would actually start from the lotus feet of the Lord, because that's the recommended method for taking darshan. So what does the lotus feet, the meditation of the lotus feet of the Lord does? So the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord is adored by all devotees. And what does that technically translate to? It means that we are actually engaged also, not just in meditation, but in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, which is called Pada Sevanam, which is a direct action, which is a direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sometimes even the Lord is wondering how much is a nectar attached to my lotus feet, so that the devotees are always hovering after the lotus feet, my lotus feet. So there's a very interesting pastimes of the Supreme Lord, when in the water of devastation, he decided to enjoy the pastimes in the water of devastation. He was sleeping on a very large banyan leaf. Of course, we cannot imagine these kind of things in this material world, but we cannot imagine also that Lord Shiva's banyan tree is 800 kilometers by 600 kilometers height and wide. So the Lord, he was engaged in the water of devastation, floating on a banyan leaf. And he was found there by one sage, one Markandeya Rishi. And Markandeya Rishi, he lives on for the whole creation of Lord Brahma. So he sees all the devastation and he sees everything that goes on. So then he met, by the will of providence, Lord Krishna as a baby, floating on the banyan leaf in the water of devastation, and he had his toe. And he had his toe in his mouth. And there's a beautiful prayer. I cannot quite remember the prayer. Tasyara Vinda, I think, Makaranda, something like that. I can't remember the prayer. But there's a beautiful prayer describing the Lord tasting the nectar of his own lotus feet, putting it in his mouth. So Krishna actually, he's so much enamored by his own lotus feet. Why? Because of the attraction that his lotus feet has to all the different categories of devotees in all different kinds of sampradayas, traditions, and paramparas. I don't know how much that is of any significance in the Christian or other tradition, but wherever you take it in the Sanatana Dharma traditions, in the Vedic Dharma traditions, whether it is in Ramanuja Sampradaya or Vallabha Sampradaya or any other Sampradaya, the lotus feet of the Lord has a very, very important position in the heart and the mind of the devotee. So there is, and why is it so? Because first of all, it is described that the lotus feet of the Lord has a ruby-like nail. His nail is like rubies. And the ruby-like nail of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I think, will be described a little bit later. And it is said that the nails of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the source of the Brahma Jyoti. And it is also described that it resembles the orb of the moon and dispels the gloom in the heart of the devotee. So this is something we can experience after some practice in devotional service. It is not just a rhetoric that we think about Krishna and we think about Krishna consciousness and practice Krishna consciousness, and then it is some kind of a mood of surrender. It is because we need to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore we need to surrender to him, that we look at his lotus feet. It's not just quite like that, no. Actually, when someone meditates on the lotus feet of the Lord, the gloom in the heart disappears. One has to be quite conscious about that. And if a devotee is very conscious about the beauty and the power of the Lord's lotus feet, there's a beautiful verse, I think it's 3:28-21. It describes that. If you can put it on there, because I want to concentrate on talking about the, if you can put it, 3:28-21, if I remember. It starts with Sanchitayed Bhagavat Charanaravinda. Can you find it?
$328.
21. I'm trying to open. Okay. Sadif, you got it?
Working on it.
You have it? Let me, I have it on my iPad. I can read it. Yeah, go down. Yeah, that's it. And it says here, right? Okay. Sanchitayet Bhagavatas Charanaravinda. Charanaravinda, the lotus feet. Charana means feet, and Aravinda means lotus. Vajjang Kushadhvaja Saroruha Lanchanadhyam Utungarakta Vilasa Nakha Chakravala Jochna Bhir Ahata Mahat Dridayandakara. Dridayandakara. Let us see. What is the meaning? He said, the devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt, a goad, a banner, and a lotus. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orb of the moon and dispels the thick gloom of one's heart. So the both lotus feet of the Lord, the right foot of the Lord and the left foot of the Lord, they are marked with a number of very important. No, you leave the verse there, if you don't mind. They actually have a very, they are marked with very auspicious markings on the sole of the feet of the Lord. And here it describes a thunderbolt, a goad, a banner, and a lotus. And I think there are maybe 19 different markings on the lotus feet of the Lord. Some odd number on the left and left foot, and some odd number on the right foot. And like for here, it describes the marks of a thunderbolt. Though the thunderbolt, it signifies that when you meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, it destroys mountains and mountains of karma that we have accumulated. And the banner, Jaya Pataka, the banner signifies the victory over our material desires. And the lotus signifies the auspiciousness of meditating on the Lord's lotus feet. So it is said, the splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orb of the moon and dispels the thick gloom of one's heart. So when someone goes out on a beautiful moonlit night and look at the moon, and someone may actually develop nostalgia, sometimes one may develop material desires or romantic desires and so on and so forth. But the moon also is meant to pacify our mind. But the Lord's lotus feet, it actually takes out the thick gloom. Someone is very depressed, someone is very gloomy, someone is having a lot of mental and metaphysical anxieties. The mind and intelligence are all warped, and no one knows in which direction to go. So actually, the Lord's lotus feet actually is a shelter. So like I was saying, and I'm repeating, we should not think, oh, it is just a rhetorical question. We become Krishna conscious, we think of his lotus feet, we take shelter. We see scores and scores of swamis, sannyasis, sages, yogis, always talking about the Lord lotus feet. Srimati Radharani talking about the Lord's lotus feet. All the gopis, they're trying to hold the Lord lotus feet upon their chest and their breast. And here we can see also Lakshmi Devi always meditating and serving the Lord lotus feet. So what does the Lord lotus feet does? For the materialist, for those who are inclined to, you can remove it now, Prabhu. So for the materialist, or for those who are involved in karma kanda, they also pray to the Lord's lotus feet so that all the religious activities that are meant to bestow upon them prosperity and proper desire, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? The Lord lotus feet will award the devotee who is seeking in the process of karma kanda, he's seeking success. The Lord's lotus feet will actually award dharma. It will award them with religiosity. It will also award them economic benefit, artha. And kama means fulfillment of desire or desire, the right desire, so that they can perform dharma, they can perform artha, economic development properly, and they can also aspire for moksha. And the other aspect of the Lord lotus feet is often considered to be bhava sindhupotam. The Lord lotus feet is considered to be the vessel or the boat to cross over bhava. means the ocean of material existence. If we are in this material world, by taking shelter of the Lord Lotus feet, we actually cross over the ocean of birth and death. This is also described. I have a reference here. I can just read it. It's very beautiful. I like that a lot. So it is described here. I will read it for. We will concentrate on trying to get some mercy from the Lord Lotus feet. So it is said here, O Uddhava said, O Vidura, when I was favored at every moment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and addressed by him with great affection, my words failed in tears and the hairs on my body erupted after smearing my, I think I'm in the wrong 3, 4. Yeah, sorry. I'll put the verses here. I just want to, I don't want you to be going up and down with the verses 3, 21, 14. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Your lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane nations. Only persons deprived of the intelligence by the spell of the dualistic energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. So those who are deprived of intelligence, they go for surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord, but it is only for fulfillment of their material desires. Because if we pray to the lotus feet of the Lord daily, oh my dear Lord, please take me away. Please take me away from this Bhava Sagar, from the ocean of birth and death. So it said, your lotus feet are the true vessel. A vessel means the boat that takes us across the ocean of mundane nations. Because persons deprived of this intelligence will worship in a view to get material benefits, pleasure of senses, which is available to dogs, hawks, camels, and asses. And it is available to persons rotting in hell and lower species of life. But you are so kind, you bestow mercy even upon them. So even if someone is approaching the lotus feet of the Lord, because generally when we have this mood of surrender and we are in trouble, we are feeling doom and gloom, we try to have a mood of surrender and then we look down. And we don't look up, we look down and we pray to the Lord as if you're meditating on his lotus feet. And by such a meditation, if you're a transcendentalist daily, it's called Pada Sevanam. And then it can translate into doing it is Smaranam, but it can also translate into Pada Sevanam, worshipping the lotus feet or rendering services to the lotus feet, which means engaging in all varieties of devotional service. When we are engaging in all varieties of devotional service and Krishna consciousness, how is that characterized in Sanskrit? Can anyone attempt? What is that called? Can anyone say? In terms of the 9 processes that is described by Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and then Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Sakyam. It is actually called Pada Sevanam. So all the activities that we do, whether it is distributing books, whether it is cleaning the temple, whether it is offering food to the lotus feet of food to the Supreme Lord, which is part of the deity worship, it's called Archana, yes. But basically every single activity we do in the temple or we do to satisfy the Lord is called Pada Sevanam. So Pada Sevanam has probably the most varied number of activities we can do. So all these varied number of activities that we can do in devotional service is serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Whether we are building a temple, it is to do Archana, yes. It is also to do Sankirtan. Archana means worship, but it is also to do Sankirtan. Why not? Because it is a preaching, it is a building, an edifice used for preaching, bringing people in, serving them prasadam. But effectively, it is serving the lotus feet of the Lord. We are actually serving the lotus feet of the Lord. We are serving the Lord by building a temple. And if someone take up the service of cleaning the temple, what is that? Marjanam. It's cleaning the temple, but it is service to the lotus feet of the Lord. It's called Padasevanam. All these varieties of activities we do is Padasevanam. We are serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And such an important meditation, if you start thinking, and if you start thinking like that, and if the temple president or your authority tells you, Prabhu, can you clean the temple? And you said, no, it's like saying, someone is saying, Prabhu, can you go and worship the lotus feet of the Lord? And you said, no, I'm going to do that. It is quite equivalent to that, nothing less. So when you refuse a service related to anything to do with glorifying the Supreme Lord, to giving facilities to the Supreme Lord, or picking flowers for the Supreme Lord, or growing flowers for the Supreme Lord, or milking the cow so they can offer to the Supreme Lord, or, anything you do, or collecting some Lakshmi so that the temple can go on, so that Lord can be worshipped. You can put all of that in the category of Pada Sevanam. Pada means service, lotus feet, and Sevanam means service to the lotus feet of the Lord. So you've done these verses, I think, right? Or maybe not. Yeah. And why is it so important? Because the Lord's lotus feet is the source of everything. Now, to look at it ontologically in terms of our Krishna conscious culture, in our Krishna conscious Siddhanta, because Brahman is Pradhana is situated, the sum total of material energy is sustained by Brahma Jyoti, by the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sum total of the material energy, whether it is an unmanifested manner or whether it is a full manifested universe. Brahmano hi pratishtaham, it is situated in the Brahma Jyoti, in the subtle energy, the spiritual energy of the Supreme Lord that sustains everything. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, everything situated on my energy. So basically that energy is emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord. So in terms of the source of everything, we can also say the Lord's lotus feet is the source of everything. And if you do not wish to agree with me, we'll move to the next verse. He said, desiring, it is said in there that I too have thought the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of everything, for you are like a desired tree. So actually, this is also explained in the next verse. But anyway, we won't go into the detail of that. So if the whole Brahman is effulgent from the lotus toenail of the Lord Lotus feet, and everything is sustained within that energy, then we can very comfortably confirm that the Lord Lotus feet is the source of everything. So by taking shelter at the Lord Lotus feet, we are sure to be completely in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in an unequivocal manner. So once someone becomes very much in Krishna consciousness and takes a daily meditation of the Lord Lotus feet, it becomes like a sanctuary. Just like if someone is going to the church, then the church is like a sanctuary. Sanctuary means that particular place where no one can create any trouble for you. If someone goes into sanctuary in a temple or goes into sanctuary in a church, then even the police, there is a law even in Vedic culture that even if a thief enters a temple, I mean, at least I know that law is in Mauritius. If someone is in the temple and is sheltering, and it could be anyone, a policeman is not allowed to go and arrest a person who has entered a church. Is it so in the Christian culture also? Is it considered to be sanctuary?
They don't care.
Huh?
They don't care.
They don't care.
They will come to arrest you.
Yeah. Oh, I'd actually still have to wait for him to come outside. You can't go inside to arrest someone.
I mean, the priest may resist, but they will get in anyway.
But it is described that the Lord's lotus feet is a sanctuary of everyone because it is where we take shelter ultimately. So it's such an important aspect. And what happens also if someone takes shelter of the Lord lotus feet, someone actually get remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead easily because it is a source of all honey in Krishna consciousness. So Lord Shiva, he becomes also more blessed by bearing on his head the holy water that washes Lord Lotus feet. Right? Why is Mother Ganges considered so pure? Anyone?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Because the water came from the lotus feet of the Lord. It emanates from the lotus feet of the Lord.
How does it emanate? How does it emanate from the lotus feet of the Lord? You have the story?
Yeah.
Because
actually, yeah, go on.
Because the Ganges water washes the lotus feet of the Lord.
Yeah. Actually, when Vamana Dev, he wanted to claim the free steps of land from Bali Maharaj, and he stood on the surface of the earth and he lifted his right foot. And then he wanted to take the free steps of land that was offered to him in donation. And the second step he took, actually, it pierced the coverings of the universe. And when it pierced the coverings of the universe, some drops, when just outside the covering of the universe, there's a Karanajal, the ocean in which Lord Vishnu himself is lying, which is the causal ocean, the great ocean that is there in which Lord Vishnu is resting. And that covering got pierced, and then some drops of water from the Karanajal trickled down and touched the lotus feet of the Lord, and that became the Ganges. This is described in the 5th canto. And just a few drops of that water, of course, you can understand if the second step of the Supreme Lord was so powerful that it pierced the covering of the universe, and few drops on a celestial level, the few drops is actually became the flow of the Ganges. And then the Ganges, it flowed and it touched the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's why it became more sanctified. And then it came down through the Shishumara planets, through the Saptarishi planet. It went through all the different upper planetary systems, and then it stopped. And the demigods, they used millions and millions of aeroplanes to carry the water that was dropping to the heavenly planetary systems all over. And then therefore Mother Ganges stayed in the heavenly planetary system for a long, long period of time. And then from there on, by the desire of the sons of Maharaj Sagara, they wanted to liberate their forefathers. 50 or 60,000 sons were burned alive, were burnt by the wrath of Kapila Dev, and they wanted to get liberation. So they were advised to make tapasya to bring Mother Ganges to the earth planet, and Mother Ganges didn't want to come because it said that it is a very sinful, low-level planet where people are involved in all kinds of various karmic activities and are be contaminated. Plus, for me to descend from that high up there on these planetary systems here, it will become very, very dangerous for everyone. And I will just go straight to the lower planetary system, so I have to be held. And therefore, the third condition, he said, is, people who's going to take advantage in this sinful place and bathe, and therefore, how will I be purified? So then they had to get the assistance of Lord Shiva. So when Mother Ganges came down, he was caught on the matted hair of Lord Shiva. And then from there on, physically, she takes on birth on the earthly planetary system in the Himalayas, in a region called Gangotri, which is the source of Ganga. But actually, on a subtle level, she is coming out of the hair of Lord Shiva. So the Ganges water is purifying, and it purifies the whole universe. And it's purifying everyone. And if you sit every day by the bank of the Ganges water and you take bath every day for a long period of time, you'll be purified of all your sinful reactions. And that's what the sages do. And why do they do so? The pages do so because they know the power of the river Ganges. It is said here, there's a beautiful verse. He said, Marganti yatte mukha padma nidher, chanda supane rishya vivikte, yasyagamarshodda sharidvaraya padam padam tirtha padaprapannam. The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. So Mother Ganges come down and then she creates so many different places of pilgrimage by her path, by the path she takes in the different parts of the universe. I wouldn't say just India, but in the part of the universe, she creates so many wonderful places of pilgrimage. But he said the clear-minded sages carried by the wings of the Vedas search for the nest of your lotus-like face. But some of these sages surrender to your lotus feet at every step. How do they surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord at every step? Some of them by taking shelter of the best of rivers. By taking shelter of the best of rivers. Yasyagamarshodda sharidvaraya. Why? Because you, my Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. So it is said in that verse, Padam Padam Tirtha Padam. Tirtha Pada means all places of pilgrimage. All places of pilgrimage, they are sheltered at the lotus feet of the Lord. So what makes all these places of pilgrimage sanctified? And it becomes the search of every transcendentalist. Millions of people from around the world now, they want to go to Rishikesh. Millions of people, they go to Haridwar, they go to beautiful places up the river, Ganges, all the way up to Bhadrikashram, all the way up to the source of the Ganges. But they forget that the holiness, the sanctity of all these places is because of the touch of the Lord's lotus feet. That's why Srila Prabhupada always said, these places are nice, they're very powerful, but by meditating daily on the Lord lotus feet, it is like going on on places of pilgrimage. By remembering the Lord's lotus feet, one can take shelter of the Lord lotus feet just by staying where you are. If you have a deity and you offer tulasi, there's a statement in the Shastras that if someone takes a tulsi leaf and touches it with a little drop of chandan, sandalwood paste, that is, created by rubbing a piece of sandalwood on a small piece of stone that you can get in Vrindavan or any stone. And then you put a little drop of water and you keep rubbing it, you will get a very smooth paste. This is a sandalwood paste that, Prabhupada used to put, and the deities cover the deity when they have Chandan Yatra in Vrindavan or other places. And it is the same sandalwood that Madhavendra Puri, when he wanted to worship his deities in Vrindavan, he went all the way to Malaya Hills, which is on the side of Malaysia, which is famous for sandalwood in those days, to get sandalwood, right? So what you do is, if you take a little 1 or 2 tulsi leaf and you touch it with that chandan and then you stick it every day to the lotus feet of the Lord, it is said that the Lord will never, ever forsake you away from his shelter. How powerful is the Lord's lotus feet? And especially Tulsi, also in that verse, Tulsi is mentioned. Tulsi is not considered very, by non-devotees, Tulsi flower or Tulsi plant is not considered to be very, have a deep aroma. But it is also explained in Shastra that the aroma of the Tulsi is only appreciated by Vaishnavas. And if you ever come near a Tulsi plant, of course, if it is offered to the Supreme Lord, and if you take a bunch of Tulsi flowers and actually if it's offered to the, you will actually get an aroma that is very intoxicating, very, very aromatic. But the aroma of Tulsi is not so much appreciated as a sort of just like the aroma of a beautiful sweet lotus or a wonderful rose. It's not quite like that. It's very subtle. But once you advance more and more in devotional service, the aroma of Tulsi becomes more and more attractive. This I have experienced also. I'm not advanced, but I have experienced that I start to appreciate a lot more the aroma of Tulsi leaves and the aroma of Tulsi flower, even though it is a very small plant and a small leaf and a small flowers. So Tulsi is actually increasingly more attractive to those who take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. So he says that it is actually the sum total of all places of pilgrimage. In that verse, he said, Padam Padam Tirtha Padam Prapannam. So if daily we make a meditation on the Lord's lotus feet, we can be immensely purified. We can have such power to practice our devotional service, such power of surrender and auspiciousness to practice our, and actually it makes us humble every day. And you enter your temple room, whether it is at home or whether it is at the temple, and you enter and you think, I'm entering the temple because I want to touch the Lord lotus feet. I want to look at his lotus feet. I want to take shelter of the lotus feet. I want to do every single activity in my life dedicated to these lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Because he said, great clear-minded devotees and sages surrender at his lotus feet. Margantiyatte ita padmani. The surrender his lotus feet at every step. So at every step we can meditate on that. It doesn't require a lot more than that. Right? And in some period of some stages of my life, I am more meditative, the lotus feet of the Lord. And another time of my life when my arrogance take over, I do not meditate as much. But that's why I want to talk about it, because I really want to meditate more on the lotus feet of the Lord. It is an experience. It is not something you can just speak and share, but I think devotees experience it, and it is very tangible. It is very, very tangible. So you imagine what was the transformation that the sages, the four sages, they received complete, they experienced a complete transformation of their mind and their consciousness. What caused that transformation? You remember that verse? What caused that transformation?
I don't remember the verse, but I have heard this happened after they smelled the fragrance of the tulsi leaf that had been offered to the lotus feet of the Lord.
Yes. I think I gave the class on that, I think. Or I commented on that. Yeah, yes. I think it's 43. Text 43 said Tasya Ravinda, yes. 3:15:43 or something. Tasya Ravinda Nayanasya Padaravinda. So the whole transformation of these personalities was because they smelled the aroma of the tulsi mixed with the aroma of the Lord Lotus feet. So if sages such as the four Kumaras, who were completely transcendental, who had no touch of modes of material nature in their chitta, in their consciousness, and they were situated in perfect consciousness of Brahman, thinking themselves as being spiritual, completely detached from their bodies, completely detached from everything to do with their mind, intelligence, and they were actually situated on the platform of the soul, except that they had no attraction for the service of the Lord. Yeah, they are called impersonalist or jnani. Their transformation was brought about by just the smell of the Lord's lotus feet mixed with the smell of tulsi. Tasyara vinda, nayanasya padara vinda, kinjalka mishra tulasi, makaranda vayu. The breeze there carried the aroma of the Lord's lotus feet mixed with tulsi. When it hit their nostrils, their consciousness absolutely changed. Their consciousness became completely transformed. And they actually ended up becoming devotees of the Supreme Lord. Just by that. So can you imagine the power of the Lord's lotus feet? Tasya Ravinda, there it is. Yeah, we meditate on these verses, very beautiful. There it is. Tasya Aravinda. Nayanasya Padaravinda. Padaravinda means Lord Lotus feet. Aravinda means lotus. Pada means feet. Kinjalka means the toe. Mishra means mixed. Tulasi, mixed with tulasi. And Makaranda means Makaranda Vayu means that odor, that perfume. Antargata Swavivarena, when it entered the consciousness. Antargata, meaning entered the subtle body through the nose. Shangshobhyam Akshara Jusham, they were absolutely absorbed in Akshara Jusham, means in the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord, because they were in Brahman. They were situated in Brahman. They had full consciousness of spirituality, except they didn't have consciousness of bhakti. Apichita Tanvo, they actually experience a change in consciousness. So the quality of the Lord's lotus feet, when the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. So such great transformation, it is possible by the Lord's lotus feet. So it is actually, they experience such transcendental bliss, it says there. So they were already, remember when we were discussing this, I remember talking about going up to the seventh gate of Vaikuntha in my last lecture, I think, or the year before that. That the Kumaras were already experiencing bliss. They were always blissful. But when they entered Vaikuntha, going through the gate number 1, number 2, up to number 6, they were experiencing some higher bliss. They're thinking, oh, well, this is a bit different here. This is great. This is not something that we are used to. This is superlative, right? Already. But when Lord Vishnu's Makaranda Vayu, the breeze carrying the aroma of the tulasi offered to Lord Vishnu's lotus nail or lotus feet, that hit the consciousness like a quality coming, a spiritual quality of the Lord's lotus feet mixed with tulasi. It actually transformed them from Brahmavari, Brahmgyanis to becoming pure devotees of the Lord. Just that made that wonderful transformation. So it is, once you actually become attached to the Lord's lotus feet, you can never give it up. So what does it, this Lord's lotus feet, he awards one's devotional service. It will award you the 4 Purushartha, all the material benefits you want. If you just daily worship the Lord lotus feet and offer flower. Yesterday, maybe you've heard that ADVAITA-KRISHNA, he offered tulasi and Ganges water, just tulasi and Ganges water, to the Lord daily with an intense desire. And actually the Lord felt, well, I have nothing I can offer. I have to comply. I have to come down. Generally, when there are troubles in the universal order, the devatas, they go to the banks of Svetadvip, where the Lord has his, his embassy, his planet in this material universe. They reach there almost on the side of Brahmalok, and they cannot access that planet, even though it is here. It is considered Vaikuntha. They go to the shore and they worship the Lord and they chant Purusha Shukta prayers, and then Lord will come and tell them, I am aware that there are some troubles, some demons causing such and such troubles, and I will arrange to come down in such and such time, and I will take care of the disturbance to the universal order. The Lord always does that. But in the case of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, that didn't quite happen, did it? Because Lord Chaitanya is considered to be a hidden incarnation. So the demigods and all the other personalities who were delegated to appear here with him were done so like, secret CIA, They were sent here in secret. They were not like advertised throughout the newspapers in the heavenly planets or, the world wide web of the Swarga Loka. No, it was not advertised. So who were aware? Who were the person who was aware about all the difficulties that's going to happen in the age of Kali? It was actually Bhakta Avatar, which is our Lord Advaita. Advaita Acharya, he was aware. He's saying this is becoming hellish here. And I cannot see how we can deliver these people here in this material world. So therefore he prayed. And his prayer was just Ganges water, which is water that is sanctified by the Lord Lotus feet. And which is Tulasi, which is one of the most favorite plant of the Lord. Taking a few leaves and offering to the Lord, actually the Lord become indebted. He said, I have to come down. So in this case, the demigod didn't have to go and make a plea and make a big sort of expose of the problems, because the Lord came in very quietly. It is probably the one advent in the annals of the Vedic literature that is not advertised, but it is probably the most powerful. And therefore the Lord came because his lotus feet was being worshipped by Ganges water. So can you imagine the power of the Lord's lotus feet? So anyone who smell the Lord's lotus feet, anyone who touches the Lord's lotus feet, anyone who takes flower that is offered to his lotus feet, anyone who takes any kind of paraphernalia item that is offered to his lotus feet, and he touches it and he uses it to purify his senses, either by tasting the tulsi or by smelling the flower, or by touching it to your body and putting the flower that is offered to the Lord Lotus feet on our head, or just meditating on the Lord Lotus feet so that our heart is sanctified, our consciousness is purified, our depression and gloom is dissipated. Anyone who takes shelter of the Lord Lotus feet like that attain devotional service. So what more can we say about the power of the Lord Lotus feet? Another point I can bring in actually, if you meditate on the lotus feet, right? And the lotus feet of the Lord has a thunderbolt. So the Lord's lotus feet, the meditation of the Lord lotus feet in the mind and the heart acts like a thunderbolt and destroys mountains and mountains of sinful actions and reactions that we may have performed. Mountains of sinful actions and their subsequent reactions actually blown asunder, just like the thunderbolt of Indra can break open a huge mountain. So all the huge mountain of sin can be completely dissipated by just us thinking about the Lord Lotus feet. So what more can we say? But there's a lot more. So we will just meditate on that. We will just meditate on that. I will just read another verse on that in that section. Here it is. He says, I will just read the English. The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by hearing on his head, by bearing on his head the holy waters of the Ganges, which has its source in the water that washed the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's feet act like thunderbolts hurled to shatter the mountain of sin stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. One should therefore meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time. I'm posing in between, I'm thinking, and at the same time, I'm hoping that devotees develop and bless me also to develop a meditation on the Lord Lotus feet. So when we look at beautiful pictures that Srila Prabhupada, our dear Srila Prabhupada has given us, or we meditate on the lotus feet of Gurudev, or we meditate on the lotus feet of Radharani, Balaramji, Jagannathji, Krishna, Shyamasundar, and we meditate on the lotus feet with our eyes closed, and we look at the lotus feet and we touch it with our heart and we hold it to our bosom and to our breast and to our chest, whoever we may be. And we think, oh my dear Lord, you are my shelter. You are the boat that will take me across. You are the delivery. Your lotus feet are the delivery from all kinds of sinful actions and reactions. You will actually take me. And that meditation of the Lord Lotus feet daily is very, very powerful. Daily, very, very powerful. You may be in any condition of material life. I don't have a lot of experience being so deeply meditative, but some experience I do not want to share, but some experience I've had while meditating on the lotus feet, the day just transforms. You start in the morning and you try to let's make an experiment. Let's make an experiment. Tomorrow, all of you wake up, chant, and keep your mind and your heart on the Lord's lotus feet and chant for the satisfaction of the Lord's lotus feet. And then when you come out, don't let that image that you captured of the deity, wherever it may be, Radha Madhava from Mayapur, Lord Nrsingadev, or whether it is your own small deity you have at home, or a beautiful picture that you like that beautiful picture of Gopal who is sitting next to the cow, or it is the beautiful lotus feet of the deity, you take darshan in the morning, or you bathe, or you wash, or you do abhishek or puja in the morning, and you just grab the image of that lotus feet, and you stick it in your heart, and don't let it go for a whole day. Don't let it leave your consciousness for a whole day. And if it does, bring it back. Said, my dear Lord, your lotus feet is my only shelter. I do not know anyone except your lotus feet. Whatever will happen, I do not want to ever forget your lotus feet. Whatever it may be, I'm attached to your lotus feet. Whatever it is, you are my shelter. Nothing more important to me than this. And you carry on that meditation one day and you will see the effect of it. You will never forget that meditation. It is probably one of the most powerful meditation you can do. It is probably one of the most powerful because it relieves one. It relieves one from klesha, sufferings due to sinful reactions. It brings all auspiciousness. And it is called Charana Padma Pavitranenum. And why is Vrindavan considered so sacred? Vrindavan is considered sacred because all the particles of Renu, all the particles of dust, all the particle of sand, Reta, is touched by the Lord's lotus feet. He was rolling in the bank of the Jamuna. He was walking all over Braj. And he did his wonderful pastimes with all his wonderful devotees. And therefore, the sanctity of Vrindavan is due to the fact that it has the Lord's lotus feet touched by all the different particles of soil and sand. And therefore, it is considered eternally sacred. So if we develop a flavor of attachment to the Lord Lotus feet, we will be relieved of all miseries, and we will attain very, very high level of spiritual emancipation or purification. Gajendra, what he did, he was meditating on the Lord Lotus feet when he realized. He picked up a flower and he tried to offer to the Lord Lotus feet in his mind. And he was purified, and the Lord came and rescued him from that danger of this mundane life that he had. So only those people who cannot see the Lord Lotus feet are those who are absorbed in too much thinking of I and mine. Instead of thinking that the Lord Lotus feet belongs to me and I belong to the Lord's Lotus feet, they're thinking in terms of I and mine, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm this, I'm that. Too much of this mundane identification, then we cannot actually think of the Lord Lotus feet properly. There's many, many examples. Various kinds of devotees take to the shelter of the Lord Lotus feet. I kind of extrapolated from Lakshmi Devi, who's serving at the Lord Lotus feet. The devotees take the prasad of Tulasi that is offered to the Lord Lotus feet. Lakshmi is always anxious to secure a position at the Lord's Lotus feet. The Kumaras, they always remember the Lord Lotus feet. The great sages are seeking the shelter in recluse caves, just thinking of the Lord Lotus feet, and they get immense power. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva is thinking of the Lord Lotus feet. When Daksha, he chastised Lord Shiva, he said, why didn't you get up and offer me respect? I'm senior. And he said, I am always meditating on the Lord Lotus feet. Getting up and offering respect would have been to offer respect to the Lord in your heart, but I'm sitting here and I'm offering respect to the Lord in my heart. So already I'm doing it. And that's the reason he didn't get up. So the Devahuti, even the conditioned soul in the womb, when it gets consciousness, and if it is a pious soul, it is a pious soul, the jiva, in the womb, when it reaches full consciousness at 7 months. So it is explained in chapter 31 of 3rd canto. It is said that it prays to the lotus feet of the Lord, my dear Lord, I have not worshipped the lotus feet, and I have unknowingly neglected my primary duty, so I will do that. So this is a most important aspect of our devotional life. Everything we do is for the satisfaction of the Lord Lotus feet. So thank you very much. I will end here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, of course, as always. Well, Srimad Prabhu has something to ask, and then after that we go to Kusha. Srimad Prabhu, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Enlighten us.
Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, the topic is very, very, how would I say, it keeps ringing in the head, you know, the lotus feet of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord. And then that reminds me that that expression does not exist in many languages, at least in my language.
Yeah.
And so 2 problems are there. One is to translate that word is very difficult because the sense that it makes, it's not like when it's coming from the original language. And the second problem is that it is also, first, I also need your advice, you know, when you respond. I mean, sometimes can we say like lotus-like feet, because that is what it's implying. But when it says lotus feet, lotus feet, lotus feet, it's actually,
Yes.
if you try to translate
Yes.
it that way, it's very difficult to make any meaning
Yes.
in another
Yes.
language. And
Yes.
then the other problem is when you say that we should try to meditate, of course, you'd already given something very nectarian in your explanation of the serving of the lotus feet, Padasevana. So you describe all kind of services that qualify as serving the lotus feet, and that's very good. I mean, that's very enlightening. However, when you say that one should meditate on the lotus feet, now the problem arises. It is difficult to meditate on something that has no meaning in your language. When something has a meaning in your language, you have some emotional attachment or attraction. You know, it resonates with you. But this word lotus does not exist in most languages. So that is my question. How do we resolve that? Thank you.
Because you have visuals. A language only transmits a vision of something. A language relates to a description of something. So language describes something in existence. So we may, like you said, like in French, I was thinking when you said Vara Prabhu about the translation, I mean, you know, in French, it is called les pieds pareils au lotus. Hein?
Right.
Maybe you know that too because you speak. Yeah, lotus like les pieds pareils au lotus.
Yeah, lotus like.
So yes, it doesn't have. But then, you know, many things in Vedic culture cannot be translated in other languages also. That's there. That's definitely there. Many things doesn't have equivalence. Yeah. Anything doesn't have equivalence. But if, as a sadhaka, as a devotee, Prabhupada has given us more visuals than you can imagine. Now, when I was speaking, my mind and heart was on the lotus feet of the Lord. And even if I didn't quite get into the semantics or the meaning, I could see the lotus feet of the Lord. Whether it is Lord Nrsingadev's feet with his red nails, or whether it is the lotus feet of the black Krishna that we have at the temple, or whether it is a beautiful, you know, dancing pose of Gauranitai standing. Those are visuals of the Lord's lotus feet. So for a devotee who is a practitioner of Krishna consciousness, he does not have to go into the idea of trying to dissect the meaning of the word to understand the object that it describes, because in the Vedas and in the practice of bhakti, like you know, when you were there and in what's his name, in Togo, and we were putting the deities, Radha Madhava was being installed, you saw their lotus feet, and that's all it takes is to meditate on those lotus feet. It's not that they're not there. So they are non-different. At least in our stages of devotional life, we cannot take that the Lord's lotus feet is any different to the, because I don't also have any experience of Lord Krishna's lotus feet in his self-same form as we know him, Krishna as Govinda, the beautiful Lord, walking in Vrindavan. I don't have any experience of that. But whenever I'm talking about his lotus feet, I'm thinking about the deity's lotus feet, which is non-different than the Lord lotus feet. At least this is the medium by which we carry our meditation. So yes, I will agree with you. I don't have experience of the direct Lord lotus feet. But then in Krishna consciousness or in Shastra, it is not the proximity of the understanding, but it is the image that we carry and the relationship we develop, the rasa. The rasa means the relationship and the taste that we can have by understanding that existence of that relationship. I wasn't feeling hollow in my heart when I was describing the Lord lotus feet as if it doesn't exist. I'm making just a something that it is describing that doesn't have any existence. I was feeling it. because of rasa, because of our relationship with Krishna. Once you have a relationship with Krishna, then every aspect of the Lord, like you see the beautiful murti of Radha Madhava or Gauranitai, then you meditate on the form. And the Lord has a form, and he comes in the form that we can actually take shelter of him, or we can worship him. And that is the form that I meditate upon. And once you bring that meditation in your heart, you will find that it actually has an incredible amount of sweetness. Not just amount of sweetness, everything that we read, actually you start experiencing. I mean, I'm not saying fully, I'm not an advanced person. But you can start feeling, I don't feel gloomy when I think of the Lord's lotus feet. I don't. I know all my pains and pleasures, all my troubles, and I think just go away. I think, yeah, I've got the Lord lotus feet. I can think and meditate. I can touch in the morning, and I can offer tulsi. But that's a process of devotional service. Our experience is not a theoretical experience. It's not a rhetorical experience. It's a practical experience based on seva. And I think you have experience of that. You have plenty of experience of that. So, yes, we are limited by language, Prabhu. I agree with you. We are very much limited by language. The poetic language of the Vedas, they are composed in verses. They are composed with a fixed number of syllables. And they're quite powerful. But language has a limitation sometimes. So like in French, pied pareil au lotus. I don't know in your language how would they translate it. But yeah, Prabhupada translates these are the lotus feet. Because in Sanskrit, charana aravinda is one word. Charana means feet, and aravinda means lotus. So Prabhupada describes that lotus feet. Charana kamal. In Sanskrit is considered charana kamal, lotus feet. And so many other descriptions in Sanskrit is very clear. Yeah, there may be some limitations, but I think you have experience of that. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
I don't understand Yoruba, but I can assure Shimabara Prabhu that even though the exact word lotus may not be in his dialect, just as it's not in my dialect, but there is.
You don't have lotus in Yoruba or in Igbo or whatever language?
My language is Chi. We don't have it, but we have the descriptive of lotus. So I believe in Yoruba.
Oh, okay.
Also, there is a descriptive
you don't have.
of the lotus feet of the Lord in that dialect.
Were you referring to your local language, Varaha Prabhu?
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, so
yes,
you will get trouble describing to your people. Yeah.
No. There is actually a word. There's actually a word for lotus, because the lotus it sits on top of the water, right? So there is a word for it. So then I also translated like pareo lotus in French, like lotus like.
Okay.
You understand?
Lotus like face.
So,
Yeah.
Just like it's in French, pareo lotus. So in Yoruba also I say abojoro.
Okay.
But that type of simile, it's not a common simile. It's not something people hear every day. So
I see.
That's it.
But you talk, it's not limited to your language, even in English. Often I think about it when I'm reading, I'm studying lotus-like. Why do we call it lotus-like? He doesn't look like a shape of a lotus, nor does he look like the color of a lotus. But why do we call it lotus? So that's a big explanation. And there's hundreds of scores of explanation people give, because it has a sweetness. But the sweetness is not in the feet or the lotus compared to the feet. The sweetness is the relationship that you have with the feet. So you see, but also different parts of the Lord's body. Now, another angle is one devotee was explaining, why do we consider Krishna to be so beautiful? Because he's so beautiful that on our level of consciousness, if ever Krishna came and we realize it's Krishna and his beauty, we'll fall unconscious. He's so drop dead gorgeous, you cannot sustain your consciousness. My goodness, boom, you'll just go like this. He's so beautiful. So it's like we're worshiping the Lord because he's the most attractive. So he's extremely beautiful. So because Kusha's put a nice picture there. So because of that, we think of our Lord being like a lotus, indescribably beautiful. And his feet is indescribably beautiful. And it is a source of all auspiciousness. Can you imagine just one beautiful thought during the day of Lord's lotus feet, whether it is in the form of a deity or the beautiful lotus feet we touched when we were young brahmacharis doing deity seva, whatever we are doing? Can you imagine that one deep thought we were sort of, heart of emotion, power, some emotion, because we all have feelings and emotion. Just one feelingly thinking about the lotus feet for trying to make an endeavor during the day. And just that, if that destroys all our sinful reactions, can you imagine the power of it? That we can experience. And we have to experience, otherwise why we are devotees? We have to experience that. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. It's a nice question. That's a nice question. Yeah. Because there is really it's not even a simile, Prabhu. How is it a simile? The Lord Lotus feet is in a particular shape, it's in a particular tone, it's a particular shade, it's a particular nail, it's a particular sign, and it has an incredible 21 different, 19 different, markings in his soul, but the relationship that the devotee have, and it creates that sweetness. Yes.
I think Salika Prabhu, you may unmute. Since you belong to the same tribe, you may have some word for that. I don't know.
Kusha is making a pose as if he is becoming Lord Brahma, sitting at the lotus. You see?
don't give him no mind.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my network has been a little bit funny, but yeah, my question is very close to Sriman Varacharya Prabhu's question, but with a little bit of philosophical angle to it. But in the first instance, when you say lotus, traditionally in Yoruba language, there are some words that the Yoruba language does not have a direct meaning, literary meaning for it. And one of such words is lotus, because in my Yoruba growth, what we say is lotusi. So it's like pronouncing lotus in the with the Yoruba vowels. So when you want to talk about lotus in Yoruba language, from what I have known, it is spelled as L-O-T-W-U-S-I, lotusi. So it sounds like lotus in English because there is no particular kind of a word that you can, and that's what I know about lotus in Yoruba language. So it is spelled lotusi, kind of something like that. So, but it's interesting. My question is this. You spoke so much about the power in the lotus feet of the Lord, the potency, the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord. And I started thinking, how can someone like me, who has not even seen the lotus feet of the Lord, how can I meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord? Because it takes someone who actually has seen the lotus feet, have heard about the lotus feet, to meditate on it. Yes, we can see the deities. You almost touched my thinking when you're talking about, yes, we see the lotus feet of the Lord in his deity form. But unless one comes to that level of realization, which I think I haven't arrived at, it's difficult because I can just see marbles. And because I'm told this is the Lord, I'm thinking in the words of the spiritual master that this is the lotus feet of the Lord. But I have not realized that. So how can someone in that level of state of consciousness, how can I meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord?
By service. By service. That's why Pada Sevana brought it by service. Who is a service? Who is a service you do? Who is it? Who is it? Who is the object of your service? Who you do this service for? By service. Our whole relationship is based on service. Chanting is service. Taking prasadam is service. Hearing is service. Associating a devotee is service. We're sitting together here. This is service to the Supreme Personality of God. This is all service. Because our eternal position is service. But then the service, the service of the mind is to meditate. Now, you can't meditate on something that is not superlative and beautiful. No one meditates on something that ugly. I will not meditate on the sharp edge of a sword. Or, no one will do that. Or I will not meditate on a thorn. I will meditate on the symbolism of beauty, which is a lotus. Look at that beautiful lotus that Kushadas is put there. I will meditate. Don't put your face in front of the lotus. Now we're looking at the lotus. Come on, Kusha. so it's like the beautiful lotus. Yeah, look at that beautiful lotus. So the symbolism of the lotus. So why is this idea? It's a very nice discussion here. Why is this idea? Because we have the symbolism of the beauty and the fragrant nature and the softness and the kindness and the gentleness of the Lord symbolized by the lotus. Right? So how would we think about the lotus feet of the Lord? Some description had to be given for us. Some description has to be given for the sadhaka. Some description has to be given for everyone. So what description can you give? So the description, the poetic description that is given in the Shastra is Charana Kamal or Pada Kamala. So it is the lotus feet. Or the lotus-like feet, the feet of the Supreme Personality of God. Because it has a fragrance, it has a beauty, it has a softness, and it is like lotus comes out of mud, but it is nothing like mud. Right? It's born out of mud. Swarit Varaya. It is born out of mud, but it is nothing like mud. So it is made out of stone, like you say, the deity, Gornitai, where you are in Jos, it is made out of marble. But once you get an experience and you touch it, you will feel it. It is soft because it gives you the shelter of something that is soft and sweet. The touch of that lotus feet is soft, even though it is marble. Because you're touching with your heart, with your sentiment that this is the Lord. So that kind of meditation. So it is rising. It is also, it represents the aspiration of the jiva to attain the beauty of the Lord, which is characterized by the beauty of his feet being like lotus. It symbolizes so many things. And language is very important. Yes, language is very important. I agree. But it's a question of relationship, I think, Saliko Prabhu. I think it's a question of relationship. A relationship we develop with Krishna. You're not just worshipping a stone deity. Because in Archana Padati, it is said, Pratimana Hatumi. You're not a stone deity, my dear Lord. Pratimana Hatumi. You're Shakshad Brajendra Nandana. You're directly the lotus, you're directly the son of Maharaj Nanda. Like even when we think about Krishna as a person, why does he take the name Nanda Nandana, Jashoda Nandana, Devaki Nandana? Means that he's a person. Why is he a person? Because he's a son of someone. Just like even when you do your civil papers, the name of your father is there. That means you are a person who is born out of a person. Means you're a person because you have a civil status, which is related to a person who exists and you're born out of mother and father. So Krishna is also taking the personality aspect by taking these names. He's a person because he's born out of a mother and father. So the person aspect of him, how we relate to, is in his sweetness, in his relationship with him. That's what I think. Kusha
Thank you
Prabhu.
very much.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'm the best answers.
Hare Krishna
I
Prabhu,
would
you're
like
rare
to
like
disturb you a bit in the
you're
course
rare
of
like the lotus.
Yes, I'm a stubborn devotee. In the course of your lecture, you mentioned Krishna lotus feet touch Vrindavan and the dust, all that. So I want to ask a question. I want to bring it back to the material existence, reality of life. There is a war going on in the Middle East today. And many gurus have touched their lotus feet on this region, on all the countries, Kuwait, Bahrain, Dubai, Iraq, Iran, everywhere. Why is this war going on, according to the scripture? Does the lotus feet wasn't able to bring peace and make people chant the holy name and give peace a chance? Or what the hell is going on? Because lotus feet must have consequences. If a guru come to your house or a country like Prabhupada, some people will take to Krishna consciousness. So in the Middle East, all these years, even presently, the war going on, was there no lotus feet that was able to change the consciousness of the leaders of that region?
Okay. Okay, I will answer the question in a very interesting way. What is the cause of this creation?
You asking a
It is
question
desire.
or?
It is. I'm asking you a question. I will answer it. It is desire.
Mhm.
Why does the Lord create? Because of this desire of the living beings. And when the universe is manifest, it is out of the desire. What is the basis of all human endeavor? What is the basis of all human endeavor? It's desire. What is the basis of all human action? It is endeavor. And what is the basis of all endeavor? It is desire. And what is the one characteristic of the soul that the Lord does not interfere with? Is the independence of your desire. Even when Hiranyakashipu was here, he was acting a very big demon and he was creating so much havoc. Even Narad Muni was praising him because there's an aspect of the world, and the subtle energy of the world, which is called Kala, time. The whole world runs on cycles. The creation is a cycle. Our monthly ritual is a cycle. Our yearly ritual is a cycle. January, February, everything in the world is a cycle. So it is a cycle because it is a subset of time. And mixed with that, the independent nature of the jiva, where he develops a desire. If you study the ontology of desire, you will see that everything is born out of the living entity's desire. So you have people in this world have desires. And as long as they have desires, they will be given the facility to act out the desire. And as long as they have desire, they will be giving the facility of this world. So this world is based on desire. And no amount of antibiotic, lotus feet, no amount of pious activities, no amount of prasadam will change someone's desire on a macroscopic scale. But on an individual scale, if you become a recipient of the mercy of someone who is powerful enough, then he can change. He can change your piety and he can change your inclination. But everyone is acting according to the individual desire. The whole world is because of desire. And if you take that element of desire, you'll dissolve the world. There won't be any world. But when you take the consequence of the desire, you have what you have today, Middle East. And you have today also Vrindavan. And you have also today Hare Krishna Africa discussing philosophy. Everything is born out of desire. So if you say, well, how can we change it? We can't change it. It goes through a cycle of time, and it will happen whenever it has to happen. And no one can actually change it. Why? Because it is the energy of the Lord that is taking its course. I give you one very powerful example. When Lord Krishna took Yudhishthir Maharaj and took the Pandava brothers to meet Bhishma in the 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, despite all the urging and all the preaching and all the coercing of wonderful saints and sadhus every day, he went on for like almost 50 days, did not accept to be coronated as king, even after the Battle of Kurukshetra. He said, no, I cannot accept. I cannot accept all this nonsense war, everything just for me to become king. And no, impossible. And he was a very saintly person. So every day there was Vyasadev, Pulastya Muni, Narad Muni, this Rishi, that all the elite of the universes were coming to the house of Yudhishthira Maharaj in Hastinapur and preaching to him, please take on this position of king. So many people have suffered. He said, no, I will not take, because this war has been fought just to make me king and this and that. He did not accept. All the explanations were not very clear to him. Then even Lord Krishna could not convince him. There you are. That's one example. So Lord Krishna said to him, he said, Maharaj, he said, Maharaj, he said, just like you always call me Maharaj. So Krishna called Yudhishthira Maharaj. He said to him, he said, Maharaj, will you accept if Bhishma Dev tell you how to do and what to do? He said, yes, because he respected Bhishma Dev. So when he went to Bhishma Dev and he asked, he said, why all this? He said, Kalya Kritam, oh, I forgot. Kalya Kritam Manye, Sarvakalam Kritam Manye. He said, Sarvakalam Kritam Manye. And he said, my dear Maharaj Yudhishthir, it is not the fault of Pandavas, it is not the fault of Kunti, it is not the fault of Yudhishthir, it is not the fault of this, it is not the fault of that, it is not the fault of this, it is not the fault of that. It is Sarvakalam Kritam Manye. It is a cycle of time that brings these things. And he became pacified. So be pacified. The cycle of time brings these things.
Okay, so what about the devotees in this region? What practical active action have each one taken to make sure that they save the preachers?
You have to carry on. What action did Yudhishthir and Arjun? They took all the actions that they could. I mean, Krishna took a lot more action that we can take now. We're not in a power to take. I mean, Arjuna and Krishna, Kusha, they take very severe actions, my dear Prabhu.
Yes, but now, what action have each one taken to save devotees' life?
We're not running the world. We're not running the world. No, we meant to run the world in Kali Yuga. I don't know what's going to happen. But at this particular point, we can do is carry on with our service. The world is not going to be dissolved tomorrow because of devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness. If you understand the reasons of creation, which is based on the desires of everyone involved in this world, Krishna is going to keep making facilities for those who want to practice bhakti and making a retribution for those who want to be demons, and also making arrangement for those who want to achieve their goals and become powerful. He will keep making within this world, which is based on ichcha, desire. He will keep making. And then, but at the same time, the world will follow a cycle. And at the end of the cycle, just like you may have so much to do every day in your work, Monday to Saturday. But when Sunday comes, your office shuts down, you have to go home. Right? So it's a cycle. So we can do anything we want for a long period of time. At the end, Lord Vishnu says, I've had enough now. Okay, let's shut the whole thing down. Then he will shut it down. And then we will go to sleep for a long period of time. And then he will create again. And then the cycle of time will go on. So this cycle, we have to understand it in the proper perspective. Because of this cycle is going on, everyone is getting an opportunity to do what they want.
Okay, Prabhu, I have my last question. In the
Are you satisfied with what I said?
Yes, I'm satisfied. But I have one more continuing question, follow-up question. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna talk about Kake, when the Lord Kake will come to kill all leaders, evil leaders, all temple presidents who are evil, to kill them all, and politicians. So can we consider war as an act of Kake killing evil leaders in the country or in the region?
War is considered an act of Lord Shiva. Okay, if you consider when Lord Brahma created, he created the universe, and when Lord Shiva was born, and when Lord Shiva came and he started creating different things, and he created all the nasty things when he appeared, then, and he was very disturbing even to Lord Brahma, and he said to Lord Brahma, he said, but where do I stay? Then he said, here, I can read you. It's in chapter 3. You have actually studied this. You were not there in the class. That's why you don't remember. So it's Canto 3, chapter 12, verse 11. And he said, Lord Brahma gave 11 places of residence to the Rudra principle in this universe. Rudra principle, which means the principles of destruction. He said, for example, one place is the heart, because the heart is an egocentric attitude. The senses, because in the senses there's sometimes anger manifest. And he says the sky, because dense cloud roar in anger. So all these principles, that very powerful wind that comes in a cyclone, in a turbulent, he says all these are principles of, and he says fire, earth, sun, moon, austerity. So anything that it is of a Rudra nature, angry nature, war, pestilence, where there is some kind of a destruction that is needed. And on and off, Kusha Prabhu, destruction is needed. These are all Rudra principles. So it is not like Lord Shiva, my dear friend. It is not like Lord Shiva, he destroys right at the end. No. Principle of Rudra is working all the time. The destruction of the body due to effect of Kala. So Lord Shiva is sometimes called Kala Bhairo. He is a destruction principle of, he working through time. He will destroy my body, your body. And there's a massive cyclone that comes, the massive war that comes, the dry, the pestilence. These are all principles of destruction of Lord Shiva, because he's balancing the universe. Because if we leave all the nasty things go on and not cause destruction, then it will be a problem for the world. So just like, in your house, you have garbage, and every day the garbage man, once a week, the garbage man comes and collects, so your house stays clean. So Lord Shiva is always cleaning up the mess and removing the garbage.
Okay, so thank you, Maharaj. So devotees should not worry about material conflict and wars. They should consider it as Shiva is doing his duty according to the laws of nature.
Yes. Yes, destruction principle is going on. People's karma has, the karmic cycle is going on, and the karmic cycle is indomitable. It cannot be stopped, and it is happening in the cycle of time. And time is a force of the Lord that carries people's karma in situations. And that example that I gave you about Bhishma there, and he said, he gave the example. He said, this is all coming because of the effect of time. He said, you look up the sky, there's a blue sky, and then suddenly you see a cloud. But he said, where did this cloud come from? And what brought the cloud here? 10 minutes ago, there was no cloud. Now you see 2 free clouds. So he said, just like that. So time brings, according to sanskara, karma, vasana, desire, It brings different reactions and actions that is in the heart of the individuals to happen. And then it is all under control. Even the war is not out of control. It's happening under the control of some superior authority. Be pacified. Be pacified.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for your
Shanti
answer.
Ostu, Shanti Ostu, Shanti Ostu.
Hare
Let
Krishna.
all the living beings be pacified.
Hare
And
Krishna.
this is a beautiful prayer of Prahlad Maharaj, right? He made
Yes,
that Prahlad Maharaj. He said, let all living beings be pacified. Let's all be
pacified,
pacified.
yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Well,
Thank
Hare
you, Krishna.
Krishna.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Prabhuji, I have one question, please. And my question has to do with taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord for protection. In my material experience, if someone wants to take shelter out of fear of something, you would like to be in the arms of another person. So if I want to get protection from Krishna, why don't I run into the arms of Krishna? But I'm told to run to the feet of Lord Krishna. Why that is the case? Why the feet
yes.
instead of the arms?
Yeah. Or when you take shelter of someone, it indicative that you consider the person to be of a superior force, superior person, superior nature, and therefore you bow to him. So the symbolism of taking shelter, like the gopis also, even though they have loving affection for the Supreme Lord, they bow to his lotus feet. Special symbolism of the Lord's lotus feet is there described in the Shastra. Even the gopis are praying for the lotus feet. They do not so much pray for the embrace of the Lord, but the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Because the nature of the jiva is to be a servant. But within that mood of a servant, you can also become a friend. And once you develop a friendly relationship with Krishna, Sakyam, which is also part of the process of devotional service, then you may also get that feeling that actually I'm being sheltered by my friend Krishna. But we start by, because all the other rasas and relationships that we have is spring that from that one important relationship that we are servant of the Supreme Lord. And being servant of the Supreme Lord is being a person who does a menial work for the Supreme Lord. One of the characteristics of a disciple is consider himself the menial servant of the spiritual master. Means I'm always looking down like a servant. I'm like a servant in a king's palace. I'm always looking down. I don't consider myself an important person. So that's a symbolism of it. So when you're taking shelter, you can see like someone, sometimes you see in a film, someone is being chased and he comes down and he runs toward the throne of the king. He throws himself at the feet of the king. He doesn't go and try to grab the king. And that's a symbolism of it. I'll stop here. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
I've had classes every day and courses, and I was thinking I've just stopped my year 2025 Gita class, and now new batch is starting, and then I thought I'll have a couple of weeks off, but it was not a couple of weeks off. So I have some, but I'm happy to have this service because it reminds me to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Very happy to have this service. Incredibly happy to have this service.
Maharaj, the sages of Namisaranya, they were never tired of speaking the scripture.
What did he say? What did he say?
The sages of Namisaranya,
yeah,
they were never tired of hearing the scripture, and Parashit Maharaj or Sukadev Goswami was never tired of speaking.
I'm not tired, but I'm physically I don't have a body like, you know. You take me 5,000 years back, I've got a Kali Yuga body.
That reminds me of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada once said he wanted to retire from all this administration. But he said,
I have retired.
yeah.
You know that for 20, you know that, Kusha, for 23 years, I've not been involved in one committee, one management or anything.
Yeah.
23 years now. Remember, when I came to West Africa, I wasn't so inclined to any committees or management. Since then, I haven't been involved. I never go to any committee, anything to do with anything. I just study and teach and preach. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be
I
coming
remember
to
your
Germany
story
soon.
when you came to Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. You were going to Togo and Cotonou with Viraha Maharaj, Viraha Prabhu. And you tell a story on the highway, the driver was driving so fast, so speedy. And Viraha Prabhu was sleeping in the car. And you were thinking about your daughter who's about to marry. You said, if this car crashed now, who will wet my... Then you were talking about how it is so how Maya make her to be attached to family, because Vera has a son. He doesn't even care about the son, but you are thinking about the daughter about to marry. I never forget that lecture. The way you speak it in Code in Abidjan.
All right, Kusha. It's nice we don't get you all the time.
Prabhu, no, Kusha Prabhu. Are you still in Germany?
Yes, Maharaj.
I'll be coming to Germany maybe end of May.
Please come.
Maybe I can meet you.
Yeah.
Which temple are you going to?
I'm going to Bavaria, but if there's no war, I'll probably travel. I'll be teaching there for 2 weeks.
In Munich. Yeah, please come. We are here.
Okay. I'll be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you all. So, dear devotees, we're going to hand a request to you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our beloved speaker, who is actually a mentor to lots of us. As a family member. That is why the class has been a family reunion, sort of. So please understand it that way. It's a family gathering. You may all unmute yourselves and we will chant Hare Krishna Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare.
His Grace, Sri Advaita Acharya Vanacari Prabhu ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
His co-founder Prabhupada ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna.